Saturday will be their first ever meeting with a very odd game time at 2:15. To my knowledge, I don't know that Clemson in recent history has played an odd time like 2:15 before. So, check the forecast because I was worried it was going to be about 117 degrees. It does seem a little bit cooler, if you could say that, high 80s. So, not a terrible game time temperature for 2:15 in September. But like I said, they've never faced each other. There's no spread. There's no over/under on this game. The Tigers will be favored to win big here. Charleston Southern will be the 108th different opponent faced by Clemson all time. Clemson holds a 65-38-4 all-time record when facing an opponent for the first time.
Trivia, name all 38 teams that Clemson's lost to when facing the first time.
That one might be difficult. But I do got a little trivia question that will kind of address one of those here coming up. So Clemson has won 16 of its last 17 when making its all-time debut against a new opponent, and that dates back to 2003. So the trivia question that I did make does relate to that. What was the first time an opponent handed to Clemson its only loss during that span between 2023 presently and 2003? What team was it that handed Clemson its loss?
The team that we played for the first time and lost to?
Yep.
I'm going to say Pitt.
Is it Pitt?
Yeah.
Believe that was the second time we played them. Or no, we had played them previously, I
believe. In a bowl game, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want another guess, or you want me to throw the answer out?
Let me think real quick. Last 20 years. Yeah, Pitt was the first one that came to my mind, at least.
It was not a regular season opponent. It did occur
a postseason
in
one?
A bowl game.
Okay, then it might even be Kentucky, South Florida, one of those teams that we played in a bowl game around that era.
Yep. The answer is USF.
Okay.
The Meineke Car Care Bowl. Tigers lost 31-26. It was the only losing season under Dabo Swinney, and it was the final game prior to the current streak of 10-win seasons the Tigers had. That was the game that Kyle Parker left. Felt like he left injured, or he just did not play well. And I believe Taj Boyd came in at some point.
That must have been 2010, right?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to leave that out. I believe that was 2010, yes.
Oh, well, I guess shout out to anybody watching on video. If you can see in my camera angle, got the 2009 Miami game playing behind me with Kyle Parker at quarterback. So interesting that was the trivia question.
Yeah. Entering this week's contest, Clemson is a perfect 37-0 against football champion subdivision team. So I've never lost to an FCS team. One other thing, I know I said we were turning the page on this past week, but Dabo Uniform Tracker came out and pointed out the real reason Clemson lost was because Dabo was not wearing a sweatshirt Saturday. That was the fact or fiction last week. Do we see Dabo break out a sweatshirt this week, or no?
No, that sounds awful for Dabo, but I do also have to call out myself and yourself for also the Dabo Uniform Tracker type stat where Drew wore a different hat for the first time to this game, and I also wore a jersey that I've never worn before while watching the game at home. So equal credit goes to Dabo, Drew, and me. We'll take 33% of the blame each.
Yep.
I'll take 33% of Dabo's salary also.
Yeah. I think the hat that I've worn virtually every single game for more than a decade.
Is it the hat you're wearing now?
It's similar to this hat.
Okay.
This is I got all this hair, and so a fitted Nike hat sucks with pulling my hair back. So this one has a spot for me to pull my hair back. It's a snapback.
Okay.
And the hat I've been wearing for years is a fitted hat. So I wore a Military Appreciation Day snapback Clemson hat to the Duke game the other day.
I think Saturday you got to go fitted cap, flow, no ponytail or bun. Just let it flow out behind.
But here's my thing: should I test it? Is it the hat? If we lose Saturday, then I know it's my fault. Do I run the risk of testing that?
I will say, usually, like, I grew up in a pretty superstitious household where we'd get like new Clemson gear every year, but you wouldn't wear it on the first game. If it was a tight game, you wear it to a cupcake game and warm it in to the luck, warm it into the superstition. Like, you can't put the chance on a big game. You got to let it build. You got to build the superstition.
And that was my fault for not understanding how the magnitude of the big game. So that one's on me, y'all. I'll hand up. I'll take the blame for that one. Or at least 33% of it. So back to actual real football. Tigers, like I said, 37-0 against FCS teams all time. Clemson has outscored FCS teams 1,555 to 254. That's all time, and an average victory margin of 35.2 points in each of those matchups. Clemson has won 36 of the 37 games by double digits, including each of the last 11. They've won those by 23.
What was I think I know the last one that wasn't within that margin, which wasn't a double digit win. Is that Troy in 2016?
No, it was Wofford around that time.
Okay.
I should have included that date there, but I'm almost certain it's Wofford. I was expecting that to be Troy.
Yeah, I was specifically thinking of that Troy game. I wasn't a student at that time, but I remember that was the only game I've ever really sat in the Clemson student section. It was like a September early game, and I got roasted by the Sun Lake.
I thankfully was not at that game. I was at my niece's birthday party, which celebrated her 10th birthday this past week. So I watched the LSU Florida State game at a 10-year-old's birthday party the other night. But I got another little via, if you will, here. This is going to be Clemson's 128th season as a football program. How many season openers have the Tigers had? Home season openers have the Tigers had?
Out of 128, I'm just going to think through this logically and talk it out. I got to think that at least like the first 20 to 30 seasons, we're establishing ourselves and playing on the road a lot to open the season. So I'm thinking minimum 98 or maximum 98. I mean, and then you got to go to our neutral site games, which we've had a good amount at, and home and homes with Georgia. So I'm going to say,
I will say here for clarification, not how many seasons have you opened up a game at home, how many home openers total have there been?
Like where the first game of the season is at home?
No, like this is the second game of the season, but it's the home opener for the season.
Oh, so you're saying there's seasons where we did not play at home?
You were on the right track. It was 123. So there were 5 seasons where Clemson did not play a single home game.
I do actually feel like I know that history a little bit. Like that, I know that once our football program started, like there was a few years there where we were that journeyman team going and getting beat up by everybody. Like that was our MO. So
yeah,
I knew I had that in my mind at some point, but
you had the right thought process.
Just misinterpreted. Yeah, misinterpreted the question.
Yeah, it could be a communication issue on my part. Clemson is 34-2 in home openers since 1987, and they have won 19 straight. And then the downer of a stat here, I suppose. Clemson's attempting to avoid losing back-to-back home games or losing back-to-back games at home. This includes the 2022 finale loss against South Carolina. Clemson consecutive contests at Memorial Stadium since Tommy Bowden's final home game as head coach and Dabo Swinney's first home game as interim head coach.
It's a long time. I don't think it's going to happen this week, but definitely something we need to be looking out for now that we're not on our like 47 game home win streak anymore. Like, this is something we got to keep an eye on. We'll get 2 against Charleston Southern, and what do we have, Furman after that?
FIU.
I mean,
Florida Atlantic.
Oh well, Florida Atlantic's going to be a tough team. Honestly, they've looked decent this season, so I'm not even going to chalk that one down as a W. So we at least have one buffer game here between the South Carolina game and the FIU game, or FAU game. Sorry.
There is that 3 game set in back-to-back weeks in November that, depending on what this team ends up doing, you got 3 home games in a row before you hit the road to South Carolina, where you could potentially need to keep an eye on that. All right. Final thoughts before we wrap up. I don't have anything to say about this game other than I want to see Clemson just clean some things up. Aid some confidence against a lesser opponent and clean up those mistakes and start playing like you practice. Hopefully you're practicing a little bit better than you looked on Monday night, and start building towards getting some momentum heading into that Florida State game in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting a big bounce back week for the Tigers. The offense is going to look a lot better because just Charleston Southern is going to be outmatched athletically. Like, this game is going to look similar to how our games looked in 2018, where we were just outmatched against conference opponents. Like, but I don't put too much stock in how our offense is going to look through these next 2 games. It's going to be a big time for growth and learning. But as far as on-field performance, it's not going to dictate where our season goes. So,
you have a score prediction for week 2?
Yeah, I'm going big. I mean, I went big last week, and obviously it didn't work out. But I'm going 51-7. Like I said, I think the offense is going to be in groove here. Like, all we have to do is pound the ball, and we'll be able to win the game. Run the ball down their throats, don't turn the ball over. And that Troy game we were talking about, that was the biggest thing in that game of why Troy was even close, is red zone turnover. So I'm expecting a big week from the offense. Defense is going to look good like usual, and they should have more room to work with the offense, actually putting some drives together and giving them a break. So if Charleston Southern scores more than 7, then it's a loss for us, I think.
I'm going for a big bounce back this week as well. I think the defense has got something to prove, and they're going to come out angry. So I'm going to call it a shutout, and Tigers win 54-0.
Okay, I like that. I would be happy if that happens.